Today, it was reported that Target, the company, lost $9 billion in 1 week. This is grounds to be optimistic because I know it may seem like a completely losing fight. How are you going to boycott every woke company? You can't. But again, if you just scare a few of them, the rest are going to be like, well, we don't want to be like Target, right? We don't want to be like Bud Light. And so that does make me optimistic, but I will take it all one step further. I will say it. I'm going to take it all one step further because I think, frankly, and this might be a hot take, especially with our libertarian audience, but I think that we should also demand a political solution to the woke capital issue. And I'll tell you why. There's just something about the disconnect there. There's something inherently elitist to me, to a bunch of Republican politicians telling their people, hey, everyone go boycott Target. Absolutely, I agree. But at the same time, what policies are they passing to back it up? How are they really also saying, we're going to fight against woke capital? Why does the obligation to do that always have to fall on the average conservative, the average person? I don't think it should be that way, right? I do think there is a political solution to the issue of woke capital. And for a reason I'm about to bring up in a second, I think arguably there may have to be, okay? And so this is not me saying nationalize industry or do anything socialist or whatever, but I do think there are a few, and I'm about to lay out here, a few basic ways in which Republican politicians need to back us up in the woke capital fight. Number one is that Republican governors should not be inviting woke industry into their states, okay? Whatever's already there is already there. Whatever, I get it. Disney has been in Florida, but an example I think of is Hollywood in the state of Georgia, right? If you don't know this, Hollywood more so now is based out of Atlanta. You may hear that. The entertainment industry actually packed up and moved to Atlanta. And this is a big reason why the state is turning blue and why Atlanta's turning so blue is because, instead of them coming and, maybe the thinking was, oh, we'll bring these industries into our state and make them conservative, right? Make them more red. And instead the opposite has happened. Instead, the liberal industry, right, comes into your state and turns it blue. Right? You see this in Atlanta, especially with Hollywood. You also see this in states like Arizona and Texas with the tech companies, right? Big tech, especially coming to places like Austin and Dallas. And you see what happens there, right? And so that's why I say first and foremost, if Republican governors are going to back us up here, they should not be inviting these industries into their states. It was a big mistake for Georgia to invite Hollywood into their state. It's a big mistake for Arizona and Texas especially, to invite all this tech stuff. And I know what the counter argument there is going to be. Free market, whatever, but you can also de-incentivize certain things. It's not a big deal. We're not saying, make their business illegal. We're just saying, look, let's be honest. When a company I don't know, when the Hollywood industry moves to Atlanta, you don't think there's a discussion there between the local politicians and the companies? Of course there is, right? But I know what the counter argument's going to be. They're all going to say, but what about the jobs, Vince? Vince, don't you know they bring jobs into our states? This is why we need it. We need the jobs. We need the jobs. No, you don't. Right? I understand it's nice. I understand it's nice to have economic growth, but of what use is that economic growth going to be long term if our states are all overran and turned into California? You want to talk about the benefit? What is the benefit of, long term turning all of our states into blue states? Is that what you want? Right? How is that long term economically good for us, good for the states, good for the country to turn our bastions of power into blue places just because, quote unquote, it brings more jobs? I think that's a fundamentally failed way to look at that. I think that's outdated. Yes, bringing jobs into your state is nice, but should that be, weighed with everything else, right? Everything else. Okay. So that's just number one. Is I don't think Republican governors should be inviting these industries into their states. Number two, we got to do something about ESG and DEI, right? You want to break down a big reason why these corporations are doing it. It's not, to some degree, Yes, maybe some marketing execs are so stupid they think this is a good idea, but to a very large degree, a lot of the reasons why you're seeing in the past decade so many corporations suddenly turn political is because they're trying to raise that ESG score. And as we've talked about before on the show, they're trying to raise that DEI score, right? There's this new diversity index as well. And so that, relates to favoritism from the government, favoritism from banks, favorite investors, all that stuff, right? And I know we tried to do it previously and Biden vetoed it, but yes, we need to make all forms of ESG, DEI, any type of social credit score in terms of the woke or diversity illegal, right? Republicans need to do something about that. Outlaw it. Number 3, BlackRock. That's another big entity here that nobody very often talks about. That's another big reason why so many, different companies are turning left wing, is because what BlackRock will do is they'll go and buy huge shares of companies, which look at some corporations now and see how much BlackRock owns and then kind of make the comparison. Hey, maybe that's why they went woke, right? They'll just go and invest and buy big shares of companies and then use that leveraging power to turn the companies woke. And then it's like, hey, well, you're going to lose a bunch of money? Fine, don't worry. We're BlackRock. We'll bail you out. But here's this amount of money to turn woke and push our social agenda, right? And so how do you compete like that? How do you just do free markets like that? Because it will get to the point where stuff like ESG and BlackRock outweighs the loss of a conservative boycott. Does that make sense? And maybe right now we're kind of at the transition point where it's still okay and you can still crash a company. But if, again, Republicans do not enact a political solution to the problem of woke capital, the future is where conservatives can cry, boycott, 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 but ESG is going to bail them out, right? BlackRock is going to bail them out. And so will be more money ultimately on that side of woke capital than our spending power to boycott as conservatives. And so that's why, again, there has to be a political solution. Republicans also have to step in and do something about the woke capital. And I don't want our success in private industry, individual grassroots boycott to distract from the fact that, again, this ultimately is going to be necessary. And then lastly, let me just throw this idea out there, okay? I think the first 3 probably we more so agree on. But as a 4th point, how about something like some of my friends have called this a woke tax, right? How about some degree of a tax penalty or something or whatever for, drop the idea of woke. How about just corporations who engage in political causes, right? We'll do some type of nonprofit thing where, a company benefits just overall from staying out of politics, right? And if you engage in politics, you're going to get this certain tax exempt status revoked or whatever, similar to how we do with 501c3 corporations. I don't know. It's an idea. Last one, it's just an idea. I think the first 3 are much more pertinent, but yeah. Number 1, again, I don't care how many jobs it brings because this is a culture war, right? This is bigger than that. Do not invite woke industry into your state. Accept jobs. Yes, it's good. But Hollywood, especially Georgia, you should not be letting Hollywood into your state. That's a stupid idea. And then secondly, again, ESG, BlackRock, things like that. Okay, trust bust BlackRock, do whatever you need to do, but some degree of state power is going to be necessary to step up and stop this stuff. And before you cry to me, free market, Vince, free market. There's nothing free market about ESG. There's nothing free market about BlackRock owning all of our real estate, owning way more shares in all of America's major companies than, we as individual stock buyers could ever fight back or boycott back, right? There's nothing free market about that. Rid yourself of those excuses. We need to save the country. And the only way we both save the country and restore a truly free market is, again, through that political solution. You need to use political power to solve this problem, okay? So, but yeah. I don't want that to distract from the fact, though, that we did do a good job in boycotting Target. But again, don't just boycott. Because there will be a point after that where boycotting, if we don't do anything about ESG, we don't stop BlackRock, it's going to be useless to boycott. Because BlackRock's going to put up more money and say, don't worry, you lost X amount of money because of the conservatives, here's double that. Hey guys, guys, Vince Dow here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dow Show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dow Show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great show. Many are saying this. So leave a like, check out our other clips, and be sure to check out the show. Yeah. God bless.